Hi and hello, this is Mama Coco, and this is Live Sunday with Mama Coco. Yes, Mama Coco Life and Style today. Today is a special day for me because I am today and listen and watch and try to participate in the best way possible. Today is my special day for our kids that we brand as a special needs kid. Well, today, because that's the word, today we are on a special show. I have to be very cautious in how I introduce my guests and introduce this show. I am Mama Coco, and you are live today with Mama Coco and mothers with their children that we must all think about daily. Their parents we should have in our prayer, and when we are in a position from a governmental position, we should be all ready to render the assistance and reach out with love, kindness, care, and from a spiritual point of view. So, welcome to the show. Today, we have Nikki Brown. Yes, she hails from Tobago. We have Simone Phillips Webster. Yeah, she hails from Tobago, but she resides in the United States of America. And we have Tracy. Tracy, welcome to the show. We have Rachel.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show, Rachel Wilson. Yes, and I have my co-host here with me today, Mr. Dexter. Hi, Dexter. Yeah. Welcome, Dexter. Is Dexter hearing us? Oh, today is a special show. Today we are jam-packed. Today we are bringing it live for you. So if ever you had doubts, today we are going to reinstate reality. Yes, this is real. This is serious, and we need to address this situation with tenderness, love, care, respect, and honor. So a round of applause to my guests today. A round of applause. Welcome Nikki Brown.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's so wonderful to be here.
Thank you, Nikki. And for everyone, my name is Mama Coco. I want the mama in me to remain on the show because the mama in me is about to bring things to life. We are going to speak life today. We are going to speak positivity. We are not going to speak disability. We are going to speak the ability to really have these wonderful parents who going the extra mile to make sure that their kids can live normal lives. Yeah? Am I wrong, people?
No, you're very right.
Yes. And we welcome now Simone. Simone, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mama Coco. Thank you for having me on your show today. My name is Simone Phillips Webster. I was born in Tobago, and I migrated here to the U.S. over 15 years. My daughter, she is 4 years old. She was diagnosed. She's diagnosed with Down syndrome.
Yes, Simone. That question is coming up.
Okay.
I just wanted, I know you're ready. I know everybody ready for the show. But the question is coming up. I just want to introduce you to the audience for familiarity and for them to know we are ready to share. and we are ready to speak our truths because our truth is not from the past. We are living with our truths, yes, and we're willing to share. So here we welcome Rachel Wilson. Yes, Rachel, welcome to the show. A question is coming up. Okay. I know you're ready. I know everybody ready for the show. But the question is coming up. Audience, and familiarity, and for them to know we are ready to share and we are ready to speak our truth. So welcome, Rachel. It's not from the past. We are living our truth and we're willing to share. So here we welcome Rachel Wilson. Yes, Rachel, welcome to the show. I don't think we are hearing Rachel right now. So Tracy, we are going to welcome you. I'm welcoming you until Rachel. Please let Rachel know that she's not being heard. So welcome to the show, Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Hutchinson Wallace. I am here in Trinidad and Tobago. I've been living here all my life. I have 2 sons, married, and I'm really happy to be here today.
Welcome. And I know that my audience will welcome you also. Then, well, Rachel is handling her stories there. I know she will be back. So I'm going to introduce you and reintroduce everyone to my co-host, Dexter D. Roberts. Welcome, Dexter. I'm not hearing Dexter either.
Mama Coco.
Hey, welcome, Dexter.
Welcome. It's a beautiful evening.
Thank you so much.
The weather is so nice. I know in Trinidad and Tobago, you all are expecting storms and that kind of stuff. But despite all of that, it's a beautiful evening. Whenever it comes to the discussion of children and children's care, especially those who are differently able, as I would say, they need special attention, and I am really happy that Mama Coco has seen it fit to have a forum where we can discuss the needs of a child and the welfare of our children and the special things that should be implemented to assist these children. I have served as Vice Chair of Disability Affairs for the University Student Senate in 2016. So I had the opportunity of being the voice of 15,000 students, where I was very instrumental in seeking computers that was ADA compliance for students who were differently able. And a lot of us may say that people, what is differently able? Is it because you have a deformity in your hands? Is it because you're different? Many people are differently able, and we just even know. Because if you cannot see well, you are differently able. There is provision made. You can get special glasses, special computer to help you. You may be speech impaired. Others are differently able. And we also have people who are slow in picking up stuff. So you may have a teacher teaching a math subject, and one child may take just a minute, as a matter of fact, Mama Coco, to understand the math. And to take another child 3 months to understand the math. That was a child who's differently able, but a lot of us have shame, because I remember on my campus, I had one individual, Mama Coco, and the guy is differently able, but not the hell would he go where he would get special attention, because the university, when you are differently able, when you have exams, they give you 3 hours additional to write. So when I have to write an exam with 1 hour and a half, you as a differently able are given 2 times the amount of time that I would be given. And he wouldn't go because he doesn't feel differently able. I personally feel I'm differently able because I learn differently. If I don't see, probably I don't know. If I don't hear it, I don't know. So we have many forms, and I feel that there should be more things done to assist people who are differently able.
Very well said. I love the term differently able because they are not disabled. So we use that term. I love that. And we're going to encourage that. We are going to we're not going to say slow. We're not going to say certain words, and we could say, yes, And today I am proud to be here. When it came into my spirit to seek and to do this show, no one asked me to do it, like physically. But I'm always in a mood to really speak of and speak to people who I will speak like you, differently able. And when I preach, I always say that God is able. You understand me? And if he's able, I know he will be in charge of anything that we deem differently. So, as I take a deep breath, let us ask Almighty God to continue to walk and talk with us. Let us ask him to unfold the mysteries of his works. You know, the Lord giveth and he knows best. He said many are our afflictions and he will be there to help us, to heal us, to take care of us, to provide for us. He's Jehovah Jireh. He provides, he understands. And today, Rachel, are you there with us right now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Rachel? She's still not hearing. So Rachel, you would be advised to go out and come back in. Don't get anxious, don't get distraughted. Just go out and come back in. We are here. So Joanne Cummins is saying good afternoon, Mama Coco, Mr. Dexter.
Hi, Joanne. Hi, Joanne.
Yes. Nikki, she's saying good afternoon to you too.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Joanne is saying good afternoon to you too. To you too, Tracy, and she's saying it to Simone. So good afternoon, Joanne Cummins. Welcome. I know you are one of my favorite. You're my sister. When I just started out with only prayer every day, you were there and you're still here. And today I want to thank you so much for joining the show. I know you do share, and let us get ready to be a part of this evening's assembly. Yes,
Mama
it is
Coco,
an assembly. Yes.
Mama Coco, I would just like to ask our viewers at this point, could you just like the program and share the program with at least 5 persons? Because we need people to understand and to be in a part of this conversation, because it's a conversation that people hardly ever touch the differently able, you know. So we need you to share it so that people could get enlightenment and they could learn a lot on this evening.
Thank you so much, Dexter, my co-host. That is exactly what this show is all about. And as you invite people, we ask them to understand that this is a very, very important show. It's not that other shows wasn't important, but we have to put emphasis on the care and the respect that we need in society from government, from lawmakers, and the power to execute the laws accordingly. We're not going to use race. We're not going to use classification. Not because you're poor, you wouldn't be treated the same way as someone who could afford certain facilities for their children. So, Tracy, may I welcome you to the show and tell us something about what you want to see from the show and in the show and what you are ready to share.
Thank you very much, Mama Coco, for giving me this opportunity to talk a little bit about the organization that I'm representing as well. Autism Spirit began in 2015. It was started by Michelle Foreman and myself. We were both administrators for the Trinidad and Tobago parenting group. It's called Trini Moms, but of course, moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, everybody.
Yes.
And we met through that group, and we realized that we both have sons who are just a few months apart in age, and we both shared similar stories of trying to get them first diagnosed and then into the mainstream school system. Because of the differing needs for our children, even though both Joaquin, her son, and Zachary, my son, are pretty similar in some of their tastes and pretty similar in the way they interact with their world, she has taken the decision to homeschool Joaquin. She is one of the most prominent, I think one of the most successful homeschooling parents in Trinidad and Tobago, while I have managed to work with my family to get Zachary through the special education system and hopefully into the mainstream system in the near future. Now, so I just have a couple more minutes to talk about how I came to autism, so I'll start there. Wow. We're looking at like 30 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, 30 years ago, actually, when my best friend came to me and said her fiance's nephew had just been diagnosed, and she didn't know what to do. Nobody really knew what to do at that point, because we are really the first set of parents of my generation who are raising their children in mainstream. Prior to my generation, we didn't really see children with developmental disabilities growing up together. They were usually shunted off somewhere into special schools or kept at home.
Hide away at home.
Correct. But we are the first generation of people who may or may not have been disabled themselves, who are now parenting kids with disabilities. So 30 plus years ago, this is when I started learning about autism. It always fascinated me, the way people think. And it was very early that I realized that, yeah, autism is just part of the human spectrum. It is just a different way of thinking. PCs and Macs, they just need a little extra help, a little extra work to talk to each other, but they can talk to each other and communicate with each other just fine. And they're both successful in their own way. Fast forward now to 10, 12 years ago, when I was pregnant with my son, and the day that I found out I was having a boy was also the day I found out that my own nephew is autistic.
Oh.
So it really kind of hit home there when I realized at that point that something like eight of the boys that I knew, or rather all 8 boy children that I knew, as in the children of my peers, they were all autistic. Different islands, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different ethnicities. There was really nothing in common except that they all had an XY chromosome, really. And that
yes, that's what we have to explain to people who may want to know what's happening there and why it happened. So
it's only because it's a lot easier. Mm-hmm. Sorry, let me just finish that bit. It's only because it's a lot easier to diagnose boys than it is to diagnose girls. And girls learn very, very quickly how to mimic social norms and act like girls. And when girls are behaving a particular way, everybody thinks it's so cute and everything. And when boys are that active, they are labeled disruptive and difficult to get along with. So it's not a boy centric or male centric syndrome. It really crosses all genders, but it's easy to diagnose. And I'll pause there.
Wow, it's not a matter of pausing there. You hit something that I really never put into play, where how girls behave is acceptable as cute, but with boys it is deemed disruptive. Could you break that down a little?
Okay, I would say that there's disruptive and then there's very, very quiet. So a little girl who sits quietly doesn't make too much noise, basically sort of does what she's told, is shy, is a little introverted. These are all seen as desirable qualities in women. I mean, yes, it's a very patriarchal society we live in. Girls who are flamboyant, and you look at her and you say, well, she's going to be an actress, or she's going to be a lawyer, or some grand drama. That is another part of the autism spectrum, and that is seen as desirable, particularly in a society that is becoming more aware of the strength of the female. So it kind of gets confused, and it's easy to mask what is actually autism in a girl, because girls again are also socialized to fit in, and we're very, very good at mimicking everybody else's behavior, everybody else's accent, the way they speak. We know that when we see girls together. You look at one and you're like, okay, so which of you is so and so and so and so, because they're all dressed alike, they all look alike, everybody's hair is the same way, they all have the same kind of look. But boys don't do that. Boys are a lot more independent. Boys are very much themselves. And when that is expressed with boys who are very extroverted, it can come across sometimes as being very aggressive and having inappropriate, assertive behavior. If they're like my son Zachary, where he's quiet, the reason why we missed his diagnosis for the first 4 years is because both my husband and I are introverts, and we're both quiet, and the parts of his introversion that express themselves and are intrinsic to his autism are, he is highly intelligent, very verbal, and loves books. Now,
so he speaks.
I am a bookworm. Oh yes, he does. He speaks 2 languages actually, because we're raising our sons bilingually in French and English. His default language, his maternal language, is actually French. When he's under stress, he will default to French. But to continue,
you mean French that people could understand, or just you alone around would understand what?
Oh no, Mama Coco, I had been trying it, sort of like an experiment and a heartfelt wish that he become bilingual. And then at age 2.5, 3, I took him to the Alliance Française, where I was president at the time, and the teachers heard him talk, and they said he has an accent from Paris. Where was he born? Was he born in Trinidad? Why is his accent Parisian, pure Parisian? And that again is a unique aspect of his autism.
Wow!
The way he's able to almost precisely mimic accents.
So you are sharing a story now to all these mothers here. That's why you are here, and everyone is here. That's why Simone, that's why Nikki Brown is here. You know, I know about Simone, but that's why Nikki Brown is here. That's why Simone is here. So you guys can see that you have to be very meticulous and highly surgical when you hear your son or your daughter trying to say something and speak something. It may not be English language. Wow. This is awesome story. We are going someplace. We are going someplace here. So now we will hear from, well, I did cut off Simone. But Simone, you gather what you have to say. We are going to go now to see if Rachel is hearing us now.
Rachel?
Yes, she is.
Yes, good day everyone. Sorry about that. I have to come off to come back on because I was getting trouble to hear everyone.
Thank you for...
Hi everyone.
Welcome.
Well, I'm a mother of 4, 2 teenagers, and Catalina, who is 8, is my special needs child. And then I have a 6-year-old after Catalina. Catalina is 8 years, still in Pampers, cannot speak. When my husband, he's on disability. In Catalina's case, Catalia goes to the child development clinic where she sees Dr. Dick, the head of the child development clinic. And I was told that Catalia has some characteristics of autism, but Catalia is not autistic. And what I was told by Dr. Dick is that genetic testing has to be done on Catalia for them to give a proper diagnosis as in what is going on with Catalia. Because Catalia could hear very well, but they can't explain why it is she has no speech. And she has a lot of sensory issues. So at the time when Mr. Felix was alive, God rest his
Sorry for not waiting. But explain the sensory issues.
All right. Some of the, well, you know, this, when you say sensory, it has to do with your senses, right?
Yes.
And we have 5 senses, right? So before I started seeing Mr. Felix, the cognitive specialist who passed away, God rest his soul, I understand what this whole thing was with the sensory issues. So, like for example, Catalia used to give trouble to brush her teeth, right? When I had to brush Catalia's teeth, you swear at age 3 years, 2 years, it's like me and a big man fighting. It was hell to brush Catalia's teeth. Right? Catalia had a thing for chewing meat. That when you give her food to eat, she will keep the food in her mouth like a little chipmunk and store the food there. And then she will continue chewing. Another big sensory thing that Catalia has is she doesn't like putting on clothes. It irritates her. So like, for example, if rain is falling and you would be feeling cold, I would be feeling cold, Catalia would be sweating, she would refuse to have on any clothes. Certain types of material she can't tolerate, like satin, and she can't tolerate certain types of material. Even like with the back with the tag, she can't take that neither. You have to forgive me for smiling. There's a lot with Catalia. I'm sorry. She loves to play in water. She loves to play in water. You have to forgive me. Sorry. It does be hard sometimes with Catalia because Catalia is very tall for her age, and sometimes, especially, she can't take crowds. So like when we go out in public and she throws a tantrum, people would see that she looks normal. Why is she being rude? Because I've got that comment already. Why does I have this big child being rude? And I have to explain to people, oh, she can't talk. And it has occasions where I have to literally lift up Catalia to try and calm her down out in public. Even home when Catalia is throwing a tantrum, I have to lie down, stop what I'm doing, sleep with her, or just to get her calm. Whereas in Mount Hope is concerned, they can't give me a proper diagnosis as in what exactly is going on with Catalia. A lot of the time, she can't even control her emotions. You know, sometimes she'll just be so emotional that she'll just start crying for no reason at all. She'll just start crying.
So how long a crying spell will last?
Well, it basically ranges from sometimes 4 hours or sometimes 6, depending on if I find the right thing to calm her down. So I would have to like literally try and figure out what will calm her down. I've literally had an experience where Catalina started throwing a tantrum and started crying. Catalina has her own tablet. She's very good with her tablet. The tablet didn't calm her down.
When you say tablet, please explain that it's not a pill.
No, it's not a pill. She has her own device.
That's right.
She goes and she, like some children, you have to watch them with a tablet. With Catalina, she goes up on YouTube and she likes to listen to the eating songs with people eating and making sounds.
Like
that sometimes calm her.
What?
She likes to watch people in boxes.
So brothers and sisters that's on the panel. That's on the panel. We can compare and we can contrast with our kids, and this child is 8 years old. We have mothers here like Simone and Nikki Brown. They have kids much younger than your 8-year-old. Let us hear now from Simone. Let Simone continue what she started. And where Simone was at the area where she said she was diagnosed. She knew that her kid would be Down syndrome before the child was born. And Simone, you can tell us what went in your mind when you heard it while you're still pregnant. Were you given advice? I don't know, because I didn't really talk much with anyone, because right now, Dexter shocked me because I never knew Dexter would be able to speak. Dexter, we didn't talk about that. You didn't tell me that you work with children like special or different needs children before. Dexter. We're not hearing from Dexter now. Can management tell Dexter to go out and come back so we can go to Simone? So Simone, can we just stop Dexter and let Simone share? Thank you, Simone, for sharing. Can you hear Mama Coco?
Yes, I can hear you, Mama Coco.
Well, Simone, let us get into where you were. You were at the point where you were diagnosed.
Okay. So, my daughter, Johnny, she is the fourth of four girls. She's 4 years old. Throughout my pregnancy, which was very normal, I had normal pregnancies with all my girls, where I would not have that morning sickness. I would not have, any type of cravings. So to me, when I was pregnant with her, it would be considered to me as a normal pregnancy. When I found out I was pregnant, I started going to the doctor, and at the time of around 4 to 5 months of being pregnant, I had to do a test, and from that testing, it was confirmed. Well, it was first highlighted that I would have to see a genetic counselor. First time having to see a genetic counselor, I did not know exactly what to expect. So I went there, because for me it would have been, information, just I wanted to, hear and, see exactly, what genetic testing was. I sat down with a genetic tester. She indicated to me that my test was abnormal. Abnormal meaning that the baby had abnormal, or there might be a possibility that my daughter might have abnormal cells. With that, it was also recommended that I can do that amniocentesis, which that is somewhat optional. So we had that discussion. She recommended the amniocentesis, but all I could tell you is after she said everything, her last words were, you always have that option to have an abortion. So when she said that to me, I would tell you that it took me aback because I'm 5 months pregnant. My daughter already is moving around. I'm feeling all the movements and everything like that. And for me, I would tell you honestly, abortion was not my choice at all. So I came home. I could remember coming home. I broke down, meaning that it was so much information, I received that day. I spoke to my husband about it as well. And from that, I decided, you know what, I'll go to pray. So I started praying and I continued going to my regular appointments. I declined the amniocentesis. And for that, it was something, it was going to the regular appointments and everything like that. I finally ended up having to go starting to have my sonograms done, which was every 2 months they started doing sonograms. And from there they started to highlight, to let me know that, there might be, problems in regards to the baby. But all in all, I kept that faith that I definitely was not going to have an abortion. I was going to have this baby. I was going to carry this baby because for me, the higher power that was in charge was not man, it was God.
Amen.
So I tell you,
Amen.
Holding on to that, I had the support of my family. My family,
Amen to that.
You have been very supportive. My in-laws, they were very supportive. And I have a group of friends that are very supportive. And I continued on that journey up until when I had my last sonogram. That would have been maybe when I was 30 weeks.
Any one of your friends that you had that experience? Any one of them had a special need kid, or that they could say, well, go ahead and do it because I am here and it happens to me? So it was a choice for you to make, and you made the choice to bring this little angel into the world.
Actually, none of my friends had any. There were no friends that I knew had any kid with a special need. So I was the rare one among the few, but I had already made up my mind and I was going to do it, and no one could change my mind. Once it's made up, that's it. I left it to God and I said, you know what, God, you're going to take care of me and you're going to take care of this baby.
Because as you said, you have 3 other girls.
Yes.
What are their ages?
So I have a 19-year-old. I have a 15-year-old. I have a 9-year-old and my 4-year-old. Yes.
Oh, wow. So you are in a little good position because of the girls that you have prior to this little angel.
Yes. And the support I had as well. Yes.
I think just like Rachel, how old is your eldest child?
She's 18. Girl. Boy, he is 16. Catalina 8, and the last one 6.
So you're not going to speak of the eldest child?
Well, all right. I wasn't really going to say anything about the eldest one, but the eldest one is 24.
So no, she has the eldest one is 24. She's not living in the house there with you, but I am speaking today because the spirit of truth is all around everybody. And my covering is not just what, today the show is not just what people want to know, is what you want to let them know. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, it's what you want. You know, people could want what they want.
Yes.
People could have all kind of ideas of who you are. People could be judging you. But today the Spirit of Truth is here, and the Spirit of Truth is about to annihilate all naysayers, all doubters, all who feel they could fix and place people into boxes. This is an elimination show.
Awesome.
To get people out of your heads. To let you don't live a life believing that you are going to do this because of what people think. It's not about people now. Your life is real. Reality checkpoint is in your home. You have to deal with it. You have to live with every single joy, sorrow, or pity that you can see. And today, I am so proud, Simone, that you have expressed such, and if you have anything else to say before our questions start, please say it now, because we are going to move to Nikki Brown.
Mama Coco.
Yes, dear.
As Simone was speaking, as something dropped, it was passing into my spirit. And sometimes a lot of people do not understand when they see you as an individual has a differently able child or a child that suffers from autism, that kind of stuff. And they begin to point fingers as to what did she do and who fault and that kind of stuff. So as she was speaking, the Spirit of God poured into my spirit, John 9:2. And from the King James Version, it said, the apostles went on and asked Jesus. They said, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parent, that he was born blind? And Jesus answered in verse 3 and declared, he said, neither this man nor his parent sinned, but the work of God shall be revealed in him. So whatever is the situation, you made a right choice.
Yes.
You made a right choice.
Yes.
Round of applause. We say amen to that.
Yes.
We say amen to that because I call in them angels.
Yes.
The Lord knows, he knows the plan. He knows the plan that he has for us. Jeremiah could boast that while in his mother's womb,
I knew thee.
Yeah,
and I formed thee, and I predestinated thee, and set thee above the nations.
Yes. However, we're going to hold the scripture in, and we're going to keep the scripture right, because when you are in a situation like this, there is a part of you who have to go to work. Besides you just saying no, some people have to make the choice to abort. I ain't here saying that no one should not. Everyone has a decision to make, and the choice is yours. So when you make the choice, you have to make sure that the choice that you make, you are able to live with the repercussions. So today, while I am here, I want everybody to hear what goes on in families and what goes on in a mother's head. Because most of the time, even your husband will blame you. Sometimes you have to think outside of the box. And we have to get everything in order. Okay, although we're saying this, we still have to leave room for people to make their own choices. So, Monique, this is your chance, my dear Nikki Brown.
Oh my gosh.
Tell us.
I am so excited to be here and to be able to talk about this, because this is something that really affects me and it's something that I am very passionate about. So Simone, you and I have been classmates and friends for a while, as have I known Auntie Mama Coco for a while. It's gonna take a little while for me to say Mama Coco because I know her as my Auntie Cora, right?
That's right.
I know her as Auntie Cora. She was a part of my life growing up. My mom and her were childhood friends, and it just so happens that her daughter became one of my very good friends in high school. So I know Auntie Cora, Mama Coco. So
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to introduce my son this afternoon. His name is Javon, otherwise known as Zion Zay to us at home. And I have two children. I have an older daughter. Her name is Shanique. She was 15 at the time that I got pregnant with Zion, and Zion is now 3 years old. My story is very, very different to Simone. When my partner at the time and I decided to have Zion, Zion was a planned child. We wanted to have a baby. So we went through the doctors, and we chose to go private because sometimes the public system here can be a little difficult to maneuver and negotiate. So we went private, and luckily I got pregnant, and we were both ecstatic. Zion was in the works and on the way. My sister is a midwife, so even though I had a daughter before, I felt very interested in doing the maternity classes again, and she kept tossing around a term that troubled my spirit. She would use the term elderly gravida. I mean, it's a medical term, but it just sounded so horrible. Elderly gravida. But it really means anybody that is over 35 years and pregnant. So fairly young women would qualify as elderly gravida, but she kept using that term and it bothered me. So when I went to do my test, there's a test that we do at 4 months that is supposed to tell you if there were any anomalies or anything with the fetus. I did all of that. I paid for that. We did that privately. We did all the checks and all the steps. And my health care, I would say, I considered it to be very good because this was his father's first child, and this was my second, and it was a boy, and it's my first boy, and we were all so excited. Long story short, when it got to coming to the end of my pregnancy, I began to develop gestational hypertension. So I, who never suffered with high blood pressure a day in my life, pressure started to spike to all 180, almost 200. So I was in and out of the hospital during the last stages of my pregnancy, so much so that I was hospitalized on the day of my school concert. And everybody who knows me knows how I love my job as a teacher and my children. So I am in the hospital, snot running down my nose, and I'm begging these doctors to please just let me out, let me go and deal with the children and come back. And the doctor said, "Ma'am, you cannot, ma'am, and you're only crying is only carrying up that blood pressure, so please calm down." But I stayed, and I went in to see a specialist from Trinidad who came, and he is one of the only specialized doctors dealing with maternity and stuff like that. And he just looked at me and he said, "What test did you do?" And I told him, I gave him the report, they pulled my file, and he said, "Everything, so there's some concern here for me, but I'll discuss it with your obstetrician." So he said that, and I just immediately went into prayer mode because I had a mother who is a prayer warrior, and she and I would just pray everything away. So we went into prayer mode and started speaking over this child's life. Time came for me to do the delivery. My sister made sure that I was very much mentally and physically prepared for the delivery. And then just like that, things started going awry. They gave me something to induce me, and then the induction wasn't working when my sister came, and she just happened to pass by. She said, "I'm leaving now, but let me just do a quick check, make sure everything is okay before I leave," because she was on duty. She wasn't my nurse per se, but she was on duty, and she checked, and she gave me a look, and she said, "I'll be back." And she went, and she came back with another machine, and she did the heartbeat and stuff. She said, and she ran out and she called the doctor. And next thing you know, I'm being carted in to do an emergency C-section. His heart rate was dropping drastically. All right. God was in the midst. I prayed about it again. Prayer warrior, mommy outside the maternity room, daddy outside, everybody holding hands and praying. And everything is going to be all right. So Zion came, and they brought in about 2 or 3 pediatricians, and I was just a little, you're getting the vibe, but they're not saying anything to you. And my sister just kind of took over when I came out of the C-section. She took him from me and said, you need to get some rest. And I am there. I want to breastfeed. You taught me the importance of breastfeeding. Come bring the child. Let me give him the breast. And she's like, you need to rest. The next day, I got him. He was very lethargic. He wasn't moving as much. And I just said, okay, well, maybe he's just, from the experience. Later in the afternoon, still very lethargic, still not moving as much. I'm looking at him and the eyes were closed. He didn't open his eyes. And I'm just
Can I get a word in, Miss Brown?
Mm-hmm.
You said that you saw a specialist. You were still pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
How far along were you?
When one person, one specialist that they had? I was very close to delivery date. I was actually like about a few days away from the delivery date when this doctor came in, because I was hospitalized within the last 2 weeks of my pregnancy. So it was actually very close. And he said, we're going to schedule you for C-section. We're going to schedule you to induce Monday. That was the final word from the doctor.
So he said that he will, so I mean that you said that he said that he would discuss what he saw with your obstetrician. Did they have a conversation with his findings before you delivered?
No, they did not. Whatever was discussed between them, the only thing the doctor told me is that we are going to schedule you for an induction on Monday. We're going to induce. That was all I was told. So I went in and I was expecting just to get the drugs and the hot pain because I had an induction for my daughter. But then, as I said, things took a turn for the worst and I ended up having to do this cesarean. So I have my baby now, and he was just very lethargic, as I said, not moving, not doing much, and it was a cause for concern, at least for me, until he opened his eyes. When he opened his eyes, he just looked at me, but the look was different. It was just different. So I'm looking at him, and it was just different.
Looking at him?
My son.
Looking at your baby?
I'm looking at my baby when he finally did open the eyes, and he just looked different. So I called.
Different in what way? Different in what way?
When his eyes opened up, his facial features did not look as normal as they were looking to me as before. He just looked different. I can't even explain it, but when his eyes opened, the face that I was seeing was a sleeping, quiet baby. But when he opened the eyes, the face changed. He looked different.
So when that happened,
I called for the nurse. The next day, I had him here. He didn't open his eyes the first day for me at all.
So he had a feature of Down syndrome?
Not at the time. Not that I could have visibly said there's something wrong with my baby. I could not. He just looked different. As a baby, what you would expect, even though, they're kind of small or whatever have you, his face just looked different when the eyes were finally opened. I can't give better clarification than that. He didn't look at me with normal eyes. He just looked a little different. So I called the nurse on duty and I said, "Nurse, come look at my son. Tell me what you observe." And she looked at me and she said, "Miss Brown, I can't say anything to you. If you want clarification or you need to ask any questions, you'll have to talk to the doctor." And at that point, I got mad. I really got mad. I said, "Listen to me. Call that doctor from wherever he or she is. Call them. I want to see them now. Tell them the lady that they delivered is really upset, and I need to see that doctor now. Get her here now. I want to talk to her now. Because why can't you, if I'm calling you to see something, why couldn't you just say whatever? The doctor has to talk to me. Okay, well, I need to see that doctor now." So the doctor came, and the doctor came with about 3 other people, and they came around the bed, and I said, "Doc, Zai finally opened his eyes, but he looks a little different to me. He looks different. What is there something that you need to tell me? And it was at that point that the doctor begins to tell me that they diagnosed him at birth with trisomy 21. I said, what is that? She said, he has Down syndrome. And at that point, I was speechless because, as I said, I had done all the tests. I had done everything. And to my knowledge, we were fine up until the point that I got the hypertensive thing where I had to be in the hospital. So I said, okay. And what does that mean? I said, but he looks very normal to me. What are some of the traits that you observed? And she began to list out. She said, but on a bright note, he is what we would term as mosaic Down syndrome, meaning that he doesn't have all the full features. He has some, but enough for us that we would qualify him as mild or mosaic. And I looked at her again. And I think at that point I was in a little disbelief because nothing ever gave me the indication. Nobody ever gave me that indication. So I was kind of taken off guard a bit. And I said, so why am I now hearing this? If
That's
you
right.
observe this
That's right.
at birth, why am I now hearing this?
Why were your tests misinterpreted?
The reason I was given is that a lot of new mothers tend to reject their babies, and they didn't want that to happen. So they were giving me a time to bond with the baby. And I got mad again. I said, lady, listen to me. I carried this child for 9 months. There's nothing that would make me not love this baby. I should have been informed instantly of what was taking place. And she said, whatever. I said, what tests can we do to confirm your diagnosis? I said, because if somebody has a heart problem, you don't just look at them and say, you have XYZ, you do tests. What tests can we do to confirm this? And she told me what tests there were. I said, and will I be allowed to do it at the hospital? She said, okay, when as we go along, we will discuss it further and whatever have you. And that gave me a lot to think about. It was a shock. It was a surprise. It was everything. I started looking at him. I started wrapping my mind around the information that I just received. And it was a lot to take in.
Do you care to what hospital that was? Can you share or you can't?
I gave birth at the only hospital in Tobago, which is the Scarborough General Hospital. But
were your specialists from there, those who took your test and misinterpreted your test, or who kept you in the dark, or who didn't treat you like a human being that have the right to know the truth?
My doctor was private at the beginning. I ended up having to go to the hospital, and I met the doctors there. But to be honest, the doctors that I met and the nurses there were very good to me. They treated me really well. I have no complaints with
except for the secret that they keep.
That I wasn't told immediately.
That's right.
About my son. So after that,
remember, listen to me, my love. I want to teach people now who getting pregnant and they may be 30 years old or 29. You need to know. They need to know that there is help and there is a better way of doing whatever you are talking about. Yes. Number one, your private doctor, he didn't do a good job. Every human being must have a chart. And even if you are seeing a private doctor, the liaison must take place where they have to deal with each other in order to keep this patient safe. And the patient is not only you with your hypertension. The patient is the baby, the unborn. And they can't keep secrets of the unborn from who's supposed to bring the baby into the world. So I ain't giving anybody any credit. None on you, nurse, none on you, doctor. Everybody have a part to play. You had a child, didn't you?
I believe so. I believe so. So that night,
my love, I just want to do some culmination here. They dropped the ball. Period.
So that night, I sat down, and everything was just swirling around. At that point, everything came crashing down.
I know.
And when you have a baby, normally you are due to postpartum emotions and so forth. So it really came crashing down on me that night. And I started to talk to God.
So in a sense, you were devastated.
Not devastated, because I looked at my son and all I saw was perfection. I don't care what they said at that time. I saw perfection. So I wasn't devastated. He was moving. He was alive. He was, to me, healthy. So I wasn't. It wasn't that, but it was just what was the step forward. Where do I go from here? And I started talking to God, and I said, Lord, after 15 years, why me? Lord, why me? Why me? This is a lot. This is going to be a lot. Why me? And as clear as a bell, I heard a voice say, why not you? Who else is going to love this child the way that you will? Who else has the wherewithal to manage this child? Who will rather give up her life than see anything to happen to this child? Who is disciplined enough to ensure that this child has a quality life? And I said, thank you, Jesus. And at that point, that was the last of it for me. This is my son, and at all costs, he would be raised to know the Lord. He would be raised well. He would be raised respectfully. He would be raised normally.
So can you share to the panel and to our audience that feeling so proud of you right now, as how I am feeling proud? Yes, I am. Can you share with them that if you ever had any special education teachings, because you're a teacher, can you tell us something about who you are?
In your BS in education, at least when I did my BS in education, we did several.
Tell people what BS means. For BS could mean a lot of stuff.
Bachelor of Science in Education.
You know we just call other things BS.
All right, so I did my bachelor's in education, Bachelor of Science in Education, and a lot of the courses that we did were geared towards teaching special children. It was geared towards inclusion in education. It was geared towards dealing with special children, and there were parts of the course where we had to visit the special schools in Tobago, where we had to integrate with special children, and that greatly helped me, along with the fact that I grew up with a neighbor who was Down syndrome.
So as you said, why not you?
Yes, that was the answer I got.
It's befitting.
That was the answer I got.
A lot of other parents, they didn't have that exposure. They don't have the knowledge. They never see it, up front and personal. So as you said, why not you? So
from that moment on, my son has
Can you show us your son?
Oh, sure. Zion, come. He was sitting here very patiently with his phone, but
not too long.
Come on, Mama. So I share something with Rachel, because Zion is very into technology. He is fixated on phones and tablets. He has had about 3 for the year, and I probably have to get him another one because he goes through them very fast. He loves technology. Zai, come. Shanique, bring Zion for me, please. He loves the wheel on the bus. He's fixated on that song. I kid you not. I had a nurse friend called Stephanie Thomas. Stephanie, you know her?
Yes, that's my girl. Yes.
Right. So Stephanie stayed with us, and one of the first things she did with him was sing "Wheels on the Bus" and do the actions. And from that day, my son was obsessed with it.
You tell people who Stephanie is, and she's part of all your family and friends.
Yes, Stephanie is a nurse who resides in England. She was one of my mother's close friends as well, and she came and she looked at Zion and she said he has a very good chance of living a normal life. Zion, look, there you are. Say hi.
Hi.
Tell them hello. Say hi. Yes, this is
welcome,
Zion.
Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit. Yes, Dexter. You see one of the. You see a little brave man there. Yeah.
So
yes, he's only 3.
He's 3. And I am working towards transitioning him from non-verbal to verbal. He is moving towards the verbal very slowly because it takes a lot of patience. But I am getting him to say words. I am getting him to signal, to gesture. And I really want the verbal communication. So that is my ultimate goal right now.
So what about his tantrum?
Zion kicks tantrums, yes, but he's very distracted. So if he starts to kick a tantrum and you say, Zai, yeah, you're such a good boy. Mommy always believed in speaking positive. So instead of saying you're naughty or whatever, we would say, yeah, Zai is such a good boy for listening. Go pick it up. He will stop and he will go and he will pick it up.
Wow.
So I think I hit the jackpot in that. In terms of being out, he's social. He tends to be a little shy sometimes. So I always take advantage of the initial shock of being out till he absorbs his environment, and then he starts to, move around, and he's very active. As Tracy said, boys tend to be very, very active. So he is hyper when he settles in, but he is thankfully very controllable with the hyper. I mean, he just take chain up bad. We say, look, you take a nice chain up. So I look at sweetie, come, behave yourself, come, and he will do that.
So in a nutshell, he likes praises. And does he show any qualities of you? Like praises or cheering or like to do things?
I would say he's a healthy combination of both mommy and daddy, because I see a lot of his mannerisms, his father's mannerisms and my mannerisms. He is very friendly and very loving, and typical Down syndrome children, they imitate a lot. So I try to tend to model whatever I want him to do, and if you model it and recency and frequency and repetition is the key, he tends to learn and pick up very quickly, because he's at a stage where he will now take his pampers to the bin, he will now choose his own clothes, he will go for his snack.
Well, just now, Nikki, I have a joke in between. So all them soccer boy clothes he does be wearing, he just choose them out?
He chose his outfit today, Auntie Cora. Let me put him up so you can see. He went and his sister showed him 3 things, Zion. And he chose his shirt, and he chose his nautical pants, he chose his clothes. He selects his clothes. And I work with the speech therapists on the island, Miss Stephanie Minty, and she is awesome. Kudos to her.
Amen.
And she often advocates in that allowing him to choose. So, and allowing him to choose not only with gestures but verbally. So he has to give us some sound to say this is the one that he wants. And he does that. So I am looking forward to him moving from non-verbal to verbal, and I am going to push it as much as I can.
So we have our co-host with that. I know he's ready to say something, but we're going back by Rachel. Rachel, what's up with you and your daughter with training? Whether it's potty training, you send her to school where is the school, but we're going to have a little break and we will be right back. So any one of you want to move from where you are to do anything, please do. We are going to be back home. And when we come back, we will do, because we hearing Nikki, she moved right into training. Yes. So we have training for everybody. So the co-host, you have anything to say before we take this break?
Well, what I would say, while these young ladies were speaking, again, my mind refreshed back to the eugenic movement. So, long time in America, they had, and not only in America, but in Germany and in the Western world, Europe, those places, they had the eugenic movement. And if you had a child that were Down syndrome or differently able, they tried to alter these children genes by actually what's the word I want to use? By making them eunuchs. But when we come back, I'll find a word for you.
I really don't think we're gonna go in that area, because that area is getting me to think about other things that the world and America did to people that was not good to do. It was not right. And I don't even want to even take you and me into that space right now.
But Mama Coco, when you look back, when I read that, I had to do that when I started off my master's to understand certain stuff. And when I read about Carrie and how they did to that poor girl, and I think it was so sad. And we're listening to Simone's story when the doctor never tell her the truth. I mean, in a world like today where we have evolution that is ever changing, I feel that those doctors should have been sued, right? Because it is your right and it is your bill of right that anything that is going on with you or within your body that the doctor should tell you. Like so I would say,
that was not Simone, that was Monique.
Monique, right?
Nikki, yes. Nikki Brown.
So I feel that the doctors should have given you that opportunity and that choice. Telling me that you want to bond, they are not God. They can't tell you what will bond, because whether or not you had a choice when you make a child if you wanted to bond or not bond. But I believe that it was your rights when they found out to diagnose you. And this reminds me, Mama Coco, that my sister 3 years ago, she had no kids and she got pregnant. She went to the doctors, and every time she goes to the doctors, I think that waste of time. She went to this doctor every time, everything was good, and suddenly one day she woke up and she was not feeling well. And when she went to the hospital, the baby was died in her body, in her stomach for 3 days. And even up to the day before she went to the hospital, she went to the private doctor inquiring what is going on. So I believe that our doctors should be, you are paying them a fee, and they should give you that opportunity to know what is going on so you can be better, much prepared. What I like now also to Mama Coco, and I know we're going on break, but what I like also too is that we are moving into science, and science now has the technology. If you want your child either brown, blue, black, white, you have that opportunity to do so. So I believe within probably the next 10 years, and I just said that it has stuff now that is able to help correct the chromosomes within a child, because as I was reading, they said that a human being, the child has like 23 chromosomes, and when you actually deals with a child who's differently able, I think the chromosome becomes 21 or something to that nature. But I strongly believe that education is the key to success. Education will set you to go advance, to understand. So when you're educated about what is taking place, then you are better equipped to deal with stuff, and you will be able to eliminate any mental challenges that would have come. So the doctors messed you up. But thank God that you have a good spirit.
Well, we have a lot of information there. For most of it, we're going to talk about it when we come back. Or maybe because we're going into an hour and 14 minutes, and these parents, they can't do the 4-hour shows because they have to go back. They are caregivers, and we have to understand that they have a lot to cover. So here we take our break. Rachel, when we return, I don't know if Simone was showing a finger that she wanted to say something, and then we have Tracy up there to say something. Because Tracy, I know you have a lot to say, and then you're gonna try to say on the show. Whether any one of these parents in Trinidad and Tobago that needs help with housing, needs a place to stay for their kids, you are the one on this show that will be able to speak on their behalf. Break. Hello and hi, we are back. We are back with Mama Coco Life and Styles.
Revelation 12 and 11 says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Hallelujah! The blood of Jesus step on the line. 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 The blood of Jesus is preserving. Say protect it, cleanse me and shield me. Safe from the attack of the enemy. Whatever Satan send, he can't touch me.
You're watching Live with Mama Coco, a current affairs and lifestyle program that touches on what matters to you. Know someone who would benefit from watching this live? Go ahead and share it. Know someone who would be a great guest for Live with Mama Coco? Go onto our booking page to enter their contact information or call 702-577-0848 to talk to a member of our team. Want to take a piece of the show with you? Then don't forget to check out Mama Coco's Life and Style Shop, where you can purchase copies of Mama Coco's book, Unbreakable Spirit, or get your emblazoned apparel with some of Mama Coco's favorite sayings and one-of-a-kind artwork. Live with Mama Coco is produced and distributed by Girl Powered Success and Survival International.
Hey. We are back. We are back on Mama Coco Life and Style, a special Sunday where we have a dynamic crew. Yes, a dynamic crew taking the show to a different level. And here we have a panel. Yes, a panel of mothers who are willing to share the ups and downs. Some of it will have you mesmerized, perplexed, and astonished. Some of it gonna help you and help your friends, and would be able to move in a different direction after today. No. To God be the glory today. Welcome back, Tracy, to the show. Welcome back, Nikki Brown, all the way in Tobago. Tracy's in Trinidad. Yes, and we have our girl here, Rachel Wilson. She has a daughter that we are going to see now, and we're going to hear from her. Welcome back, my co-host. Yes, Mr.
Mama.
Dexter D. Roberts, and we have Simone. Simone is here with her fabulous daughter. She dances up a storm, and I don't know if Simone, were you trying to get in a word?
Oh, I was just while listening to Nick Brown's Monique story, you know, it really touched a soft spot within me. Here is a mom having a baby. Here's a mom, she's receiving private care. She has all the doctors and everything like that, and no one felt that it was necessary to inform her that this was the diagnosis of her kid. That really touched me.
Ridiculous, yes.
Ridiculous.
Really. You know?
In America, she didn't have to work again for the rest of her life.
Correct.
That would have been one of the most powerful lawsuits a hospital would have settled. Number one, your private doctor, he would have settled because he would have been out of business for the rest of his life.
Correct.
This is not a simple matter, you know.
No, it's not.
I know Nikki praying and Nikki saying that God don't like fools. And these doctors are fools, so we know God ain't gonna like them. You know me? And I am a praying woman.
Yes.
I pray differently from your mom. I pray and I'm launching attack for stupidity.
Yes.
And I'm telling you that was ignorance beyond ignorance.
Yes.
So we are going to go now to, I said I was going to go to Rachel. So she's trying to get her daughter in place. But I think we owe Tracy an appearance now. So Rachel, take your time with your daughter. Take your time. You will come up after Tracy. I know Rachel's daughter, she doesn't like to keep on clothes. She doesn't stay quiet for long. So.
And right now, when I'm changing Pampers.
Yes, well, you could leave. You can leave. Sorry that you wouldn't hear what I would like. Well, is someone else could change your Pampers? I wanted her to hear from you.
Rachel has heard me on many occasions, so.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because Rachel and I are in the same kinds of groups, so yeah.
And look, I never knew it. It just impressed me to get in touch with Rachel because we became friends on Facebook about 4 years ago when she was doing a show, when she was trying to show the world her daughter and how hard it was. And I became friends with her.
We saw quite a few of her broadcasts, yes.
So here we are with Sister Tracy.
Mama Coco.
The floor is yours.
The question I want to ask. So in Trinidad and Tobago, I know that there is the Child's Care Act, and I know that there is the Protection Act, and they had the Disability Act that was launched in 2007. Are there any major groups that actually give support where parents itself can come in and get the assistance that they need?
Actually, no, not really. Look, there are several different groups, both governmental and non-governmental, non-profit groups working in Trinidad and Tobago to support parents of children with disabilities and adults with disabilities as well. The legislation in Trinidad and Tobago is not specific to supporting disabilities. We do not have anything like the Americans with Disabilities Act. We do not have IDEA, which is, I think, the Disability in Education Act. In fact, the Education Act that we're working under was conceived in the 1960s. So, I mean, it doesn't even take current modern education into effect. What we have are a number of policies that each individual ministry tries to come up with. And then we have a disabilities unit, which is a sub-department of the Ministry of Social Development and Family Affairs, which means, in effect, that disabilities in Trinidad and Tobago is not treated holistically. It is not treated for the length of the life cycle, and it is not administered administered, or there's no oversight, and there's no enforcement from one central body, which makes it very, very difficult for parents and for adults with disabilities to navigate life in general. Yes, go ahead, Mama. Sorry. Yes, Nikki.
Yes, no, not. What happened here is Dexter's point is very valid. It is 30 years now since the American Disability Act is enforced. Why on earth Trinidad have not changed their policies to help different children or different
Well, you've got to
people?
remember that it's a different kind of system. The thing with the US system is that legislatively it is set up to support changes in legislation and changes in policy via litigation, by suing people, by bringing a lawsuit. That is not the system in Trinidad and Tobago. It is not set up in that way. In fact, Trinidad and Tobago did indeed ratify the United Nations Convention on Persons with Disabilities. They ratified it in June 2015. We weren't the first to ratify it, actually. Jamaica was the first to ratify it several years before. In fact, the very day it was open for the world to ratify it, Jamaicans ratified it immediately. But ratification does not mean that the legislation exists. Ratification just says, yes, we know that this is here. Yes, we agree that we should probably be doing these things at some point or other. Legislation is what has to happen. 2 years ago, the government did produce a policy, a new policy, to treat with persons with disabilities. But even that is severely lacking in concrete ways and means of removing discrimination and of supporting everyone, making sure everybody has the supports and the services and accommodations that they need throughout their lifespan. And there's certainly no legislation in effect. Even our Equal Opportunities Act does not treat with disabilities as a special case for discrimination. It is in the process of being revamped at the moment, but that's going to take a little bit of time. What I think is needed here.
How long they had that plan?
They actually have been working on it in their defense. They've actually been working on it for the last 2 or 3 years, but a couple other items of legislation which are centered within the Attorney General's office and the Legal Affairs office had to come first. These were the legislations on terrorist financing and registration of non-governmental organizations. Those are certain things that had to come first, but they are actively working on the act now. Okay, who do I go to first? Nikki, you have
Simone
to unmute
Brown,
yourself.
yes, you go to Nikki Brown, not me. I don't want to speak. Nikki.
So Tracy, I want to say that yes, you are right. There are a number of private organizations.
We're not hearing Nikki Brown. Is Nikki Brown muted?
No, we're hearing her.
No, we're hearing her. She's fine.
But I wasn't hearing her.
So there are a number of private organizations that are willing to give support, counseling, help in terms of, supporting you mentally and that kind of thing. The clinics that you receive, like the occupational therapy, the physiotherapy, very good doctor speech therapy up at the hospital. But in terms of financial support, they still have not come on board with anything like that. Simone and I reached out to Simone when I realized Zion was definitely special needs, and she and I had conversations, and we intermittently chat to compare the systems in the States and stuff. And she said, go and apply because, I get help with my daughter. And it is common. It is a matter of fact that once you have a special child in the US, you can access assistance and aid in whatever form, whether it be the courses or financial. And I went to our Department of Health here more than once trying to get help for Zion. They told me, in the first time I went, they told me that he didn't qualify because, what was the reason they gave? Because of the household that I live in. I'm a teacher, my sister is a nurse, and therefore the income level would have been, according to their means test, would say that I do not qualify for help. So I started to say, well, my mom recently passed away and I am still footing her medical bills, and that takes up a chunk of my salary. So I really would like assistance for him, you know, in other things, and I was denied. I went back again recently. I was told that things had changed and I could go back, and I did go back and I reapplied. And then I was told that unless he was labeled as fully or incapacitated, fully Down syndrome or incapacitated, I still would not be able to access financial aid, because he, of course, is mild and mosaic, as I indicated in the beginning. And again, I was refused help for my son, because as far as they're concerned, he's not serious enough to qualify for help, which is something that is very strange to me, because I would have thought that the Disabilities Act would have covered everybody. But that is not
no, it actually doesn't. It actually doesn't. You see,